Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome again to the Hidden Tracks. We have today Dylan England from the E is not a bad word, emo, pop punk, post-hardcore, whatever you want to call it these days. Dale Paxton out of Buffalo, New York. Righteous fucking band. I suggest everyone go check it out. And here we are. How you doing, Dylan?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't offend you with the E word. It is a word that I'm okay with. But
yeah, no offense. I mean, yeah, it's without. I'm sure everyone has their own, article or Twitter thread or feelings about it. But I think we've always been a pretty shameless genre rock band, and we kind of joke like we really like this stuff. So not a bad word. I mean, I know it's bad and it's like kind of cringy, and every year you get older, you're like, should I be playing this sort of music? But
fuck everyone. And the way I look at it is it's pretty simple to me, where I just look at, listen, music's fucking music. It's either good or it's bad.
Sure.
And whatever you label it, it's still fucking music, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, it's not a bad word at all. I mean, not to me. I mean, I guess it's like, you said post-hardcore, and that like sounds way cooler, and
totally cooler, man.
Yeah,
totally cooler.
Yeah, because there's it's post hardcore,
and it's hardcore.
Yeah, I mean, just phonetically, like it sounds better than emo, But no, emo is cool, with me, and I think the other two members as well. So
all right, I hope so. I just didn't want to offend you as soon as you came on the show.
Yep, I'm logging off. Yep.
Yeah, there it is. I know people get a tight butthole sometimes when you say that word. They're like, oh man.
No. I mean, I don't know. No, we're definitely not at all. So
good.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's get down to it with. You're in a band, and we just went through some of the craziest times in our life, where a lot of people were either walked away from their music for the 14, 15 months that we were fucked up, or some people gravitated back towards it. How have you been? How you guys been? What was that like for you?
Well, we're all good. I guess like that's kind of the thing you say now, like everyone's healthy and, we're good as far as that goes. But it was really, I mean, oh man, I feel like all the cliche, like it was crazy. It was, but it was especially crazy, I guess, for us, because in February of 2020, we recorded that 3-song EP that we put out September, Bedtime, Ontario. And everything kind of happened immediately after that. So that was kind of like it felt like the last kind of thing we did, like not even as a band, but just like as friends and as people. We recorded it in New York State. I don't know if, everyone knows the geography, but like Buffalo is like as far away from New York City as you could probably be and still be in New York State.
It's essentially Canada, as I tell people. You're right across the border from Canada, so it's fucking Canada.
Yes,
it's just as cold.
I wish
just
it was
as
Canada.
gloomy.
Yeah. I wish it was Canada. Yeah, no, I mean it's basically Canada, and we recorded in Binghamton, which is kind of like a lesser known city, I guess, in New York. There's a university there, and
and that's closer to Pennsylvania for people who want to know geography.
Yeah, that's kind of like splitting the distance. So it's like a little further east from us. It's like halfway between the Big Apple and Buffalo. But we're all from that area. So what I was saying is like we went home kind of to record that. Greg and Zach are from like Ithaca, which is another, kind of central New York town. Everyone probably knows where that is. So like we had family there. Like I saw my family. We, recorded with our good friend who is just been like a homie for like probably since we were like 14 or 15. He has a studio there. So it was like a really special time. And then it was right before everything, went really bad.
Yeah. Shit hit the fan.
Yeah. So, I mean, we didn't have, as far as like, I'm sure you've talked to enough bands now or probably know, like whenever you have music, it's not like, okay, we recorded this, so let's put it out like next month. We didn't really know, or we didn't really have a plan, I guess, like a definitive plan to put this out as an EP or anything like that. I feel like maybe we were, I don't want to say like demoing, but just like definitely trying out like different tones and like going to this specific engineer, to get a really kind of like different sound sonically than like than we normally, I guess, would go for.
It was definitely a little different, and each song was different. Okay. I mean, it wasn't, it definitely wasn't all day, every day, all night. It was, you could tell there was also a maturity level that came into it too, because you were older, and you can tell that there was something a little different about it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like it'd be, kind of weird to say that like, the newest stuff an artist puts out, isn't your favorite. Cause like, be like, yeah, this stuff's okay. It's not as good as our old, but no, we really thought that they were a really good encapsulation of like basically we've got like pretty much an album's worth of stuff written right now. So we kind of, when we went to record, we were like, let's just kind of take like the three that we're really happy with that kind of have like their own vibe, not to use a Gen Z term, but, we were like, okay, so like, September has this kind of like straightforward kind of rockin' vibe. And, Bedtime was a little bit slower, and, definitely had like a pretty blatant, like kind of Midwest, like, American football kind of nod, if you will. And then, the last one was kind of like the mathier kind of techie, lots of parts. So we were like, okay, so like all those kind of, we kind of just felt those were like flushed out the best. And then just kind of, it's kind of weird to think about it now. I admit I didn't really, I haven't given much thought to it. So that's kind of why I was really excited to do this, because, we couldn't play any shows after it. We couldn't tour on it. We couldn't really do anything but like watch the internet and like go on Twitter.
And see the reaction of which was tearing something down or telling you it's the greatest fucking thing they ever heard. I mean, because there's really nothing in between. You never get it's okay. You get it's either fucking awesome or this is dog shit. So.
I don't know. I feel like we get a lot of like this is okay, and like that's fine. I'm like totally fine with that, because like I don't know. Like if we go back to the whole like joking about being like a genre, like playing a very specific, kind of emo, like you're gonna like click with the people that are like, oh yeah, like I love, that first Mock Orange record and, and Sunny Day Real Estate. And I could geek out, about that, and other times people are going to be like, I don't know, like this dude can't sing and all the songs sound the same. So it's just like, I don't know. I'm fine with the middle. You know what I mean? Like we're like, it's not gonna like really hurt my feelings what like a music critic is going to say about the type of stuff we're writing. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, no, absolutely. And
not in like that sounded like way douchier than I meant to.
It's cool. We love douche here.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, we're
as long as you're okay with it.
Our first sponsor was Summer's Eve. We're good.
Wait, really?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, I don't know.
No, it's just straight up vinegar in the face. But So when you guys went to record it and started coming up with new songs, did you have like any inkling that you were going to try different things, or was it just something that happened organically when you were starting to put new songs together?
Well, in regards to like the songs, like our songwriting process is like kind of always been kind of the same, like someone will have an idea, like whether Greg has like an idea for like tempo or, or a certain drum beat, or, maybe it'll come out of like him and Zach jamming, or maybe I'll bring a riff like that's usually kind of the same. I think the difference came in choosing to go record in the place that we went with our friend Hunter. Shout out Hunter. I don't know if he's going to listen to this. But no, he was like a friend, it still is, but one that I had known like kind of like when I was a teenager, like starting to get into playing in bands and stuff. And he records mostly not emo. so and he's brilliant. He's very talented, and I think I'll speak for the rest of the guy. Like I was definitely more like I really wanted to go for that reason. I was like, I'd love to see, what someone that doesn't normally do this shit does with, a group like us.
Yeah.
Just because I sometimes think that that's where cool stuff happens. If you go with like, I don't know, there's dream producers, right? Like there's like Jay Robbins or, or Mark Trombino or like people that we, collect records from and just love and can like, hear a mile away and be like, oh my gosh, that's that. And that would like maybe make sense. And this was maybe a little more like, not the wild card, but definitely like, I don't know. What does that do to the creative process to have like an engineer that is like totally doesn't listen to, American
has
football.
no idea. Doesn't really have the vision to see what we're going for, but to see what his vision of what we were going for is going to be is pretty fucking. I mean, that's a great idea. That's totally cool.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. I mean, I love the way they turn out, and I think Hunter is a true artist as well. I mean, his solo project, Underground River, if you want to, if your listeners want to check that out, it's not emo, but it's really just brilliant. Like, I mean, he metabolizes so many different influences, mostly like 60s and 70s kind of rock and folk and like Private Press shit, and just all of his equipment is like very strictly analog, and he's just I don't know. It was like, here's a friend who's clearly on some different shit. What could he do, behind the board per se, right? With a band like us, who's just trying to do some kind of like straightforward rock stuff.
Well, he did something different because he can hear it. And
oh, cool. Yeah. I mean, I hope that it comes through. I mean, I definitely think it does. And, I think.
Yeah, no, like September's a banger. Like I wasn't like, to be honest, when I got the EP, I was like, and September kicks it off, and I was like, whoa. Like I literally just said whoa, like out loud, and I was like, okay,
good
now
whoa
I see. Good whoa. Like it was.
I'm just playing.
When you go into something and you're expecting something, and then it's not what you're expecting, but you're still pleasantly surprised. So, and that's exactly what it did. That's why I was like, whoa, this is like, and I just do that. This is different. And then I have to listen to it in my rule of 5 that I do 5 listens of something to make sure that I'm all in.
Yes. And I heard this from the other, so it's it's like car headphones,
mowing the lawn.
Yeah. Yes.
In the background music when you're having a party, there's a rule of 5, and if it falls in that category and you can get through it those 5 times, it's straightforward, awesome.
Because those are kind of like wide, you know what I mean? I mean,
yeah. Well, you got to listen to it in different ways, man. You're like,
No, I totally get that. I guess like no, I love it. I mean, I think our friend Adam, who mastered the EP, I remember when I've done a lot of recording with him, and he's another great friend, and he's always been a big proponent of the car test.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think shit sounds so good in a car. Like if you've got a really good, like I've got an old car. It's like a 2002 Impala, which is not a flex at all. Yeah. I mean, it is, it's like a big car, you know what I mean? It's got like a column shifter and like, you know, it's like driving a couch, which is rad. But it has a CD player. And like, I mean, every Zach and Greg they're like, Zach especially, he's like, you know, the CDs just sound better in your car. And I'm like, I think it was just right at that like weird CD, like end of CDs sweet spot that maybe whatever, I don't know cars at all or sound equipment, but all I'm trying to say is I like the car test.
Yeah, no,
it's a good litmus for
the car test is a huge litmus. Like one of the movie Once with Glenn Hansard, who had the Broadway play Once, but how they did the car test after they were in the studio recording this music, and it's just like they had so much fun listening to what they just recorded as they're driving around the, you know, English countryside, which is totally like, that is the, wow, now let's see what it is. And it's just an awesome fucking test. And you're free, you know, windows down, music blaring.
Yeah.
Free.
And you're kind of in like an insulated like cabin, you know what I mean? Yeah. It is a truly just unique thing.
It's your own personal space. Nobody's in, you know, if the people are in there, they're in there for the same reason that you are, to fucking go ride and listen to that music.
And sometimes too, if you're like, you know, you like drive better if you've got some like, you know, if you've got something you're really, I don't know, maybe that's just me. It was like, I joke with my wife, we saw that movie Drive. Mm-hmm. When it like, whenever that came out.
Gosling?
Yes.
Right, yeah.
And like, I was like, the best I ever drove was like on the way home from that movie. And it was probably like a few things. It was probably like the cool, like kind of, you know, soundtrack and just, you know, just being kind of like a slick movie like that. But
yeah, I'm so glad you went with that instead of like Fast and Furious or something. But
which, I love I haven't seen the new one, so don't spoil it for me.
I haven't seen.
Don't tell me about any of the cars that explode or
So
don't ruin it.
Listen, I haven't seen any of them after like 2 or 3. So I mean,
you dropped off after Tokyo Drift? You just stopped?
I think so. I was just like, yeah, all right. So I know what's going to happen. There's going to be some races. There's going to be some moving shit. Somebody's going to run somebody off the road. I'm good here.
You think you know? See, that's you think it goes back to it's different. You know, you go in thinking you're expecting, you know, something. And then you get
pleasantly surprised. It's turns into Driving Miss Daisy, and
it's the genre. It's we're the Fast and Furious of emo. Yeah, or no, that didn't make sense.
And I'm the fat and curious of hosts.
Yeah, so. Right. Man, how did we get here? I didn't want to do this. Okay,
no, it's totally cool. This is what fucking happens when people talk.
Okay, great.
So you had mentioned earlier about when you were younger with music, and so one of my big things that I like to find out, because it was a poignant moment in my life, is your first musical memory, when you heard your first type of music that was completely different than cartoon theme songs and Sesame Street and Barney and shit like that. Do you remember what it was that you heard that was completely different and said, oh my God, what is, I mean, I'm sure if you were very young, you didn't say, oh my God, you're like, but you just heard something and it changed your feeling on music.
You know, short answer, no, because I mean, I can't pinpoint, I didn't have like an aha moment, where I would, you know, I wasn't like struck with like divine, you know, like, what is this? I need to, you know, but it was definitely like my parents both like played music all the time. Like I remember my mom probably in the car, man. I think it goes back to the car thing. Like I was always like in the car, like my dad would always listen to like classic rock radio. So I just loved that, you know, and I think my moment
was in the car. I remember the band that I heard, the song that it was, and I was in the back seat. Like it was in the car, my parents playing music, and it was something that I was like, wow, what is this? And I made my mom buy me the tape for like my birthday or Christmas because I just loved what I heard.
Yeah. I wish I had like a concrete, like, you know, like it was, you know, Baba O'Reilly but it was, I mean, you know, I definitely remember like I have a really like like sweet memory of like my dad like making me listen to the end of like Stairway to Heaven, you know, which sounds like totally, you know, whatever, but like, you know, it was fucking great because like I remember it was like late at night and we were in the car and he's like, you got to hear the end of the song, you know, and I was so like I was anticipating like I don't know, like something wild, you know, and then he just kind of ends like singing that kind of, you know, the band dies out and he just like trails off, and I remember being like, okay, like what happened, you know. My dad was like, no, it just stops, you know, that's what makes it so fucking cool, you know. And I don't know, he was probably trying to like have a cool moment, and I was just like, you know, I just ruined it. But no, we're cool. I mean,
trying to have that awesome father-son moment. And
yeah, maybe. Like, but I mean, there were a lot of those.
What are you talking about, Dad?
Yeah, like I remember, I mean, I guess like my first, you know, my first like I remember like getting the Third Eye Blind CD. That was like a big one for me because I remember hearing it on the radio because like you couldn't really escape it, you know, like in 1998.
No, there was no escaping Third Eye Blind.
No, there's not. And for me, there's still not. There's still like an actual, I say that with like, you know, complete sincerity. I love the band. I mean, not so much. Well, we can get into that. But anyways, I mean,
yeah, no, I remember. No, listen. I have a huge affinity for Third Eye Blind. They were my number one when I used to do a category of the most overrated, underrated band. They were my number one where they were overrated for all their shit that was on the radio, but all their stuff that wasn't on the radio that was on their albums they were all fucking bangers, and they never got like, everybody's like, no, I don't like that. I'm like, then you're fucking stupid. Go listen to Jumper, asshole. Like,
yeah. Well, like there's a lot to not like. We'll just, I mean, we can definitely.
Yeah. We can do a whole nother show on that.
But I do remember, yeah, right. So I'll be back for that. But you know, they're definitely. I mean, it. You know, because that album was like, you know, however many times platinum and just like, you know, just all over the radio and just such a massive like commercial fucking success. I remember hearing it, but I also remember like really liking it, and I remember getting the CD, and I remember my parents were kind of like, we have to make sure there's no curse word, because I also remember like really liking like Limp Bizkit and like getting my friend to like try to burn me that CD and like hide it from my mom, you know, and like put like Creed on it so she wouldn't like find it, you know. But no, I don't know. That's probably like the first like memory I have of like actually getting the CD and like ripping it open and like looking at all the lyrics and stuff.
So, now, was that like your first like own initial like find that you dove into on your own?
I think so, but like I said, I mean, it was so big that it didn't really feel like, I don't know. I just like, I liked it, you know, it was catchy and it was like melodic, and, you know, I look at it now and, you know, that the guitar player on that first and second record was like doing all these alternate tunings. And I was like, oh, this kind of tracks. Like, this is, you know, you can like find the, you know, the kind of spider webs back to it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, for them, I mean, we can go on a tangent, but I think Blue and Out of the Vein were my two favorite albums. Like, I just think
those are that's like the holy trinity, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, those two albums I'll put those up against anybody's other two albums. And I'll be like, no, here you go. Like, you may think, you know, Third Eye Blind, and especially Out of the Vein. It was just like, I was like, it was that moment where I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? Why are these guys so good?
You know, I love that record. I was just talking to Zach, the bass player in Del Paxton, about it. And they had like a different guitarist, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure. And maybe it was, I don't know if I said it or he said it, or we both kind of were just like bullshitting and like talking about it. But like, it sounds like that dude is like trying to just be Kevin Cadigan, like the first guitar, but like he's trying so hard. Like a lot of the little like, harmonic kind of, you know, and like just a little like affectations like that he's playing, like, you know, I was like, it sounds like he's so desperately trying, you know, but it still like rocks. It's not like, sorry, little side note, but that was like the first CD I remember like getting and like really.
But do you remember the first thing that you found on your own? Like that you just like took ownership of, like you found something that was cool that maybe somebody else didn't know about?
Yeah. You know what? And I think like when I started to get into high school, you don't want to, you want to find something like cool and obscure. At least I did, because I thought that would just like make me appear cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
Even
absolutely.
in like
I listen. I totally get it.
yeah,
I love that find where no one's heard of them, and I can give it to them, and somebody else goes,
yeah.
"Wow, I really like this." Like that's my cool. Like that's where I'm like, I'm cool.
Well, no, I mean, and I guess that's what makes, I guess everything, so like once you just start talking about music, right, you go down that rabbit hole. But no, for me, so I was my one of my buddies was playing like in his like local, like and I think it was high school. It was like either like ninth grade. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But like he was playing at this like local kind of venue, like where we grew up. And they were just like a cover band. They'd cover like Bush and like Rage Against the Machine, which is like totally awesome and cringy. But I would go to their shows, and they're like, "Oh, we're playing with these like out of town bands, these touring bands," and like that, I had never heard of that. I was like, "What do you mean?" Like they're like, they look like young, you know what I mean? Like, and I remember it was the band The Snake That Crossed the Crown, which I don't know if you know of them. They were on Equal Vision Records back in like the early aughts or late aughts. I don't know.
Great label.
Yeah, and they were kind of like kind of the black sheep of that label. They're kind of like more of like kind of like classic rock or like folky. Anyways, and this band called 504 Plan from Chicago. We were just like a pop punk band. And at the time, like that first band that was playing that style of music too. And I just remember being like that, it sounds so cheesy, but that I was like hooked after that. I was like, yep, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to be in a band. It was that, like, that was a definitive moment, but it didn't,
did you already start playing? Like, did you already have the quintessential guitar lessons, or was that what drove you to be like, I want to pick up guitar?
I had started playing guitar just because, like, that's, I think, what a lot of my friends were doing. And I liked guitar and I liked it, but that was like the first time I had seen like a band like that I'd never heard of that was like I remember like embarrassing myself and like asking them, I was like, "Where's like your tour bus?" You know what I mean? Like, and they're like, and they just kind of laughed, and they were also like nice to me. They weren't like, "Fuck out of here," like, you know, like they were like, "Well, we're just in this van," and I was like, "That's so cool," and I remember I was just like, oh man, it's like super embarrassing, but I was just like, "So you're just like doing this," you know what I mean? I had no idea that like you could do that, and I just didn't have, cool, friends that were like in punk bands that had really like exposed me to that, until that moment.
Now, did you find that lane when and I always harken back to, punk music, especially for me in my life, what it did was it made it accessible. It gave kids the opportunity to be able to say, I can do this, because it's 3 power chords, and it made it accessible, and it I think it gave a lot more than what I think punk music gave a lot more to the outside world than what we gave back to that punk community. To be perfect, like in my older years now, like I look back, like it meant so much to me, but I don't ever know how much I gave back to it.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's like that might be like an unanswerable kind of not that, I know it was rhetoric, but like, I mean, like, yeah, for sure. I guess just like seeing a bunch of like, people just kind of like doing it, it just kind of like blew my mind. I just like, as silly as it sounds, I had just like never really seen that. You know what I mean? Like I knew about like CDs from the mall. Yeah. I grew up in like, not like a rural area, but like there wasn't much going on. So like, I wasn't like going to, punk shows and like I was, I had friends that skated, but like I didn't skate. So like, they had like their finger on the pulse for all of that. But like, I was kind of, I just remember that being the moment where I was like, and maybe like, yeah, I could do this, but it was more like, I really like this. Like it had a sound that was, I guess, what you would call emo. but there was like, nice harmonies and like cool guitar parts, and it was melodic. And I remember my buddy who had opened the show, in his cover band was kind of making fun of me for liking it, because I was kind of freaking out. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And he was like, oh, he's like, I just didn't know you liked emo. And I was like, well, I like this. So nice Bush cover, like, I don't know.
Yeah, great job. Go play the rest of 16 Stone in your fucking room, man.
Yeah. He sucks now, so I don't care if he does it. Yeah. But so I mean, I guess like for sure it felt, I guess like just seeing, maybe like they didn't have a bus as I like embarrassingly asked them, so it became like, yeah, we can totally do this. And then, to get even weirder, like, and I've talked about this with Greg and Zach, who are the other two members of Del Paxton, but like I used to go see their band when I was in high school, like before I knew them. Not in like a weird, like I'm probably making it sound weirder than it has to be.
No, you're making it sound just perfectly weird enough. But
their band was fucking awesome. Like they were like, both, I'll let you do the internet research, but it was just, they were great, and they were super tight. And like, when you see like a really, really good like local band and like everyone kind of knows it, you know, they definitely had like an air of, they were good. They were really good. And they played with like kind of the like bigger acts that came through. And it was just, it's just cool. It's a small state,
Yeah. So who in that era, like who was the biggest influence on you besides those guys that you saw, that may have been, I guess.
I mean, that was one, it's kind of like a two-pronged thing. Cause then, that was definitely like a big night for me just because that was like my first, like,
It was your first taste.
Yeah, it was my first taste.
Yeah,
man.
you suckled that teat for the first time, and you're like,
I had a
whoa,
taste.
Yeah,
and it tasted good, But the second, there was a local band who did a lot of touring. They're called Fire When Ready. They're incredible. I mean, definitely, just so. It's also weird too because like when I was a kid going to see them, like. They were like, I hate to say like rock stars, but they were like a big deal. We were like, oh, everyone's going to go see Fire When Ready. And like hardcore kids would go and like, they were just a great rock band. And they toured with like, Curl Up and Die and Burger Shark and like Planes Mistaken for Stars. And like, they lived down the street, so that was like a big, like, whoa, what are they doing? Like, how are they doing this? But it was less of that and more just like, they're so fucking good. And their shows were really fun. So, I mean, that's like the second part of that. I can't, that was huge. There was just a lot of good music. There was a lot of good shows. Like Marathon was another band from, like upstate central New York. That was great. They played all the time. That was just so fun to go see, I think there's no shortage of like really good bands. I feel like,
I don't think there's a shortage of really good bands ever. I don't think there was ever a time when there wasn't. I think it was just
sure.
The shortage was just always how do you find it, and that was the thing too. Like I mean, I grew up going to the Firehouse where all the punk shows would be at. Like there,
right? Yeah,
that was my life, in high school. Like, oh, there's a show at the Wayne Firehouse. Boom, I'm there. Like, and it was that little sense of community that it created too, because you're like, oh, they're from around here and we're seeing the same people. And like, you met friends that way.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, especially like 100%. Yes. Right. Cause like you're in high school and you're like, cool. There's like people I see every day that like I'm friendly with, or like that I play sports with, or that like are in my, but then there's people that like really like Fire When Ready, and like we're gonna go see that show. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, you build your whole life around it.
Yeah, I mean, I had show buddies, like and that's what we were. We loved the same type of music, and we were gonna go to shows together. That's what our friendship was, and that's awesome because that's what we connected on. We didn't connect on fucking soccer practice. We didn't connect, stuff like that, but we connected on music. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's still a thing, right?
Yeah.
So. no, it's that, I mean, I guess going back to, the whole like idea of, just accessibility in music and I guess the punk umbrella, like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So how did you get started with that then on your own? Like, how did you, you saw what you wanted to do. You're like, I want to do this. How did you start it? Like, how did you get to where you are today?
Well, I mean, I guess just like not stopping, which sounds like a really like anti-answer.
No, it's an answer I think more people need to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be a little. So I also make visual art, and like throughout high school, I was like really fortunate enough to be like nurtured to like pursue that, by like my parents and my friends, and I had good teachers, which I don't always feel is the case. Sometimes, you could be like, oh, you suck at this, just stop. But I think that like in like, I did the whole like playing violin in school. Did you have that like where you're from, or like you could like,
I mean, it was, you had to pick an instrument.
And, yeah, you pick an instrument, right? And like, I picked violin, and it's my mom. My mom said, she was like, "You were so good at it," and I think I was like actually pretty okay at it, but I like never practiced it. So like, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I want to play guitar, and I think she was like pretty bummed, because I think it's just like a mom thing, like because she knew I was like getting into like Nirvana and like loud stuff, or I don't know, like whatever, but I think she also was like, well, I don't know, like you were good at, like, I was just fortunate. I had a lot of like, I had supportive parents, and I had, a good group of friends, and I don't know. I just, I always had like good people to play with, I cultivated, a group of friends like in high school that, started our like first bands and made a bunch of mistakes and really cool memories. And, I don't know if that's like kind of everyone's like similar, I don't know how detailed you want me to go into it, but yeah, I mean, it was just, a combination of just, having a good support system. And, I did like take guitar lessons, for pretty much up until I left for college. Cause I was not like, I don't consider myself like musically gifted, even though I was just kind of like, I shred the violin, but like, I think I was just like, I liked music. So it was just like fun for me. Like Greg and the other two members are definitely like, they're on a different level of like, they can just like play anything, and they understand music on a level that makes me jealous still. But, no, I think, just like practicing and like really liking the guitar too, and just liking music, and,
so it's going forward.
Yeah. So, I mean, in high school and college and after college, I was just always playing. And like, I was really fortunate too, to always have people to play with, and to really like bounce ideas off of. And then when I moved, so I went to school, kind of like south of Buffalo. And then after moved to Buffalo, I met my wife my last semester of college, moved to Buffalo, and Greg hit me up, and he was, we had toured together in previous bands. We were like acquaintances at this point. It wasn't just like, that dude.
You just didn't hop in your DMs.
And... yeah, no, we had definitely like we were friends, but he was like, I'm moving to Buffalo. Let's start a band. And I was like, yeah, like let's absolutely do it. And I remember like the night we met, we went and saw the Sidekicks at Mohawk Place, and we just like geeked out, and we were like, this is great. Like, let's do it. And he was like, I think Zach is moving to Buffalo soon too. From his previous band too, like he's known him forever. And that's kind of how we got to Del Paxton. I've never actually talked that out. So if anyone's listened this far, there you go.
Now, do you remember the name of your very first band?
Yes.
What was it?
We were called The Swinging Field.
Okay.
It was probably an overcooked thought that we pulled from a Dylan Thomas short story. It's funny, like you look back on like high school bands, and it's like equal parts like cool and cringy and or whatever. I don't know, unless you're like lucky enough to be in like a sick fucking band.
Yeah. My buddy still has his high school band going 30 years later.
Oh, awesome.
He's the last remaining member, but I mean, he's still forging forward every day,
good for him.
It's awesome.
Yeah. No, I guess I just like, when you say it, in a podcast, people might go look for it, so.
No, I think the name of your first band is usually, it's sometimes it's telling of.
Yeah. So it was the Swinging Field, and it was a bunch of influences. It was really fun. It was kind of like, I don't know. It was just, you're in high school and you're like, I've never done this before. Like, let's, what do I like about, the Beatles, and also Coheed and Cambria, or like whatever, like let's make a song like that or whatever. And let's have a singer who screams sometimes. And, like you're just kind of like trying everything out.
Yeah.
It felt like.
Well, do you remember your first live experience not playing in front of like family? Like, do you remember that first live experience in front of strangers?
Oh, fuck. I feel like I should. Like this is really kind of making me like kind of look a little more like inward because like I don't have I know, and I should have prepared more. No, but I mean, I definitely remember like when you were talking about like being in high school and kind of like getting psyched for shows. Like I remember like the day of a show, just like that's like all, I could think about, and flyering my high school for the one person that was already going that like didn't need to know,
you made 500 copies.
Yeah. Right. It's like, come to the show. I posted a MySpace bulletin about it. But like, no, I don't like have like one of those like vivid first memories. I mean, I have a ton, and they're all like really great. I mean, I don't think, I don't think I'm like a natural performer, and that also is not coming off as like false, like modesty or being bashful. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's like those like frontmen, like, or like people that are just kind of like live for the stage, it was always like kind of nerve wracking for me. Like, I hope I don't fuck up this guitar part, which I still get that way and still do sometimes, but no, I think it was probably at that local venue where I saw that show. I mean, that was where we like kind of played our first gigs, so I don't remember like I don't have a cool story about like my first time on stage. I don't think I did anything like embarrassing, but
no, listen,
probably that whole, if I could look at, watch the movie of that portion of my life, it'd be pretty embarrassing.
Yeah. Not everybody is Bret Michaels of Poison. Some people have,
right.
Some people have to be. One of my favorites, Robin Zander. I say that name, you probably have no idea who that is.
I don't. Robin Zander.
Yeah.
Should I know? Are you
lead singer of Cheap Trick, who's just an awesome fucking pop band, but nobody knows him. Nobody knows him by his name, but he's a fucking amazing singer and songwriter, but nobody knows him.
No.
So you don't have to be, because
right. I mean, but also like it's a Cheap Trick, so like, I don't know, not to hate on Cheap Trick, but I don't know if I could name like a Cheap Trick song.
Sure you can.
Voice it? No, wait, what? Well, we won't do this now.
No.
No. Yeah. So I don't have like a vivid memory of, of like performing or, I don't know. I mean, I haven't played like a stadium or something that has really like, been,
you're nervous,
a different kind of experience. You know what I mean? Like it's always been like small clubs and,
I totally get
houses and basements. Yeah.
So now you mentioned your friend's Bush cover band. Was that the first live show you ever saw, or did you have another live, concert you went to when you were a kid or something?
No, that was definitely most likely it.
Okay.
For sure. The first like big concert I went to was Incubus, which is pretty tight.
Yeah.
And I saw them like 3 times after that. So, but like other than like, by big concert, I mean like, like my mom drove us, you know.
Yeah,
I mean?
no,
Like,
that's what I was wondering about because listen, my first live show, I was really little and I got dragged along the fucking Kenny Rogers.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, everybody has a different first concert story.
Yeah.
And I
No,
mean, my first two were straight, like, yeah, it was Kenny Rogers. And then the next one was Barbara Mandrell. So, and like when my friends were like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, my parents like dragged us, but I'm like, I'm thankful for it because
that's
music,
pretty,
you know,
that's pretty
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
I was like 6 and 7, like back-to-back years, like going to a concert. I'm
sure that if my parents had done that, I might that might have like the whole musical memory thing, you know.
Yeah.
But not that like that makes me, you know, they're great, you know. But like we didn't go to like a big concert like as a family or anything together. So, but if we had gone and, you know, seen like the Bare Naked Ladies, like maybe I don't know, right? Who knows?
Yeah, who know? You never know.
Yeah. I don't know why I chose that either.
I just asked you about live performances and live performance. Is there any band that you have ever performed with? You know, you don't have to be a part of the band, but another band that you performed with or on the same ticket with them, and you were just in awe of them, and you can say that was the best band we've played with so far.
Oh my God, so many. Like,
yeah, it doesn't make anybody less, you know, if you don't name them. So anybody.
No, I mean, I'm sure I could, you know, I mean, but like, I think that's like that's why I still love doing this, you know. It's just like the chance to, you know, play on the same bill, you know, to perform for someone and then like watch their band as well. I mean, everyone, you know, I mean, not everyone. That's a bullshit answer.
Yeah,
right?
I was literally just going to call bullshit on that.
Yes, which you should, and you're right. No, but I mean, oh my God, there's just so many. You know, I guess like the first one that comes to mind only because they just like kind of teased their finishing their new project, but it was the band Alaska. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Kind of like an ambiguous name, right? Just like a state. But really great. I would say, you know, if we're going back to one of the first words, like post-hardcore, but just really every member just like brought something really special to the table, you know, just as like a 4-piece rock band, just like their bass player like plays a fretless bass, their drummer's a beast, like, you know, Joel and Cody on guitar are just incredible. And I just remember playing a show with them and then just like, you know, totally just, you know, having one of those like embarrassing geek out moments, you know, after just being, hey, what's up?
Yeah. And you're allowed to have that. And that's what it allows you to do. I mean, yeah, you're allowed to have that. I mean, I've been all the shows that I've been to. I mean, there's moments where like I geek out on something that I'd never like seen before. Like, I'm like, I'll literally go, I don't know what the fuck that was, but whatever it was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's like, even just, you know, I remember playing a show in Carbondale, Illinois, which I'd never been to. And it's probably like the Buffalo of Illinois, like where Chicago's like kind of the top of, you know, kind of like, you know, and there are so many, I'm like trying to think of all these bands now that I could, you know, say that just kind of like blew my mind. But, you know, I remember playing this show that was just like really fucking good and solid. And there was this band called Uriah. And they were just like the band I want to see every night when I like dream about, you know, like basement shows. Like it was just, you know, it was just really good, like Midwest, you know, just the same shit we were on, but just like really tight harmonies and just like really good songwriting. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
which I don't want to like, you know, go on this and be like, it wasn't like mind blowing, you know, because it was great. But in some ways it was like more special because it was like, wow, this is just like what I want all the time. You know what I mean? Like, you know, in the gig where you're kind of just like waiting for the set to be over and waiting to get paid and waiting, you know, wondering where you're going to sleep, like to just like be, you know, captured completely for like 40 minutes and just like wanting more is like not something that happens very often.
Yeah.
So, like,
and I can attest to that. There's a lot of it where there's a lot of shows where you're kind of like, that's awesome, but I'm waiting for the end. And then there's other shows where you're like, oh my, why'd they walk off the stage?
Yeah. Well, there's another, we were fortunate enough to, play and see this band Pile from Boston.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Who are, if you haven't seen them, it sounds like you have, or at least have watched,
Yep.
they're just mind blowing. I mean, everything about them. And I remember, the show we played with them, they closed with Prom Song. That's the one, it's got the huge solo, and it was like the perfect closer, and then I remember seeing them like a couple months later, maybe it was a year later. And the set was just too long, man. It was too long, even for a band that I like just loved.
Yeah.
I think it goes into also maybe like sequencing and like how to curate a set. There's that like Hard Times article that were like band fighting over set list as if anyone gives a shit, and I laughed so hard, but there's also like something to be said about that. But
well, it's almost kind of like putting together an album. You kind of want it to be cohesive to what the sound's going to be. And
sure,
I mean, I know, to pick a band, which is fucking retarded to even put this in the category, but Pearl Jam never plays the same set list ever.
Yeah, right.
And different, like it's, but the whole show is the fucking same as the other ones, but they just, I mean, I guess when you also have a catalog that large, you can do that.
And like people, and also like, who didn't love Pearl Jam when you know what I mean? So you probably knew all of their, every deep cut,
Yeah. So I can see that. I know Smashing Pumpkins had an issue with that, picking set lists, and they would fucking argue all the time. So it happens to everybody, but
didn't the Pixies like alphabetize their set?
Yeah.
Like, there's stuff like weird, like, so it's like, I mean, that's a move and whatever, but like, even, I don't know. I mean, if you go back to like just the bands that, I mean,
and the Wedding Present did a tour where they did it on time. So they took how long each song was and did it based off shortest to longest for the entire set.
Oh, see, like, it's like gimmicky, but like, I'm into that. I'm like, oh, that's cool, but like in the same way, I'm like a time-lapse video is cool. I'm just like, oh, like, and then, probably like, I don't know if it would work, like, what is that, but no, there's been so many. I mean, I think that's just what's like kept us kind of, well, at least for me, like what's still so great about playing is like just playing with your friends and like playing with like a rad band that is,
just making it fun,
flips everything, flips all your notions. Like, I mean, I remember, in college, there was this band called Loose Lips Sink Ships, which is an old, like, naval like adage, but that was and they were a total like Owls, like Ghost and Vodka, like very mathy, melodic. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with them. But their new band, well, one guitar player is in like Lifted Bells, and they're there.
Yeah, Lifted Bells, Rob Nana from Braid, and
and then the rest of them are in Monobody, which is like a total jazz fusion project.
Yeah.
So as far as like mind blowing, where I'm just like, I can't do this, that I would say them, if I'm trying to answer that question, but it's so fun to see, it's fun to see a cool band.
I mean, that's
the takeaway.
Yeah, that's what it all comes down to. It's just it's fun to see an awesome band. Now I'm going to ask this stupid question, which is probably asked all the time to people, and I don't give a shit. But do you have a favorite band that you? Usually if somebody asks you, you can pull it up pretty quickly, and you can have more than one. I literally have I have my top three, and it depends on what day, because they're all three are different. But like, I know that I have my top three. If somebody says, who's your favorite band? I'm like, it's one of these three, but it depends on the day.
Yeah. That's tough too, because like, if I'm talking to like, I don't want to say like a normie, like if someone's just like, what's your favorite band, and I'm just like, oh man, I don't know, the Beatles, I'll just like,
that's been outlawed from this show. Like,
oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I do actually love the Beatles, but sometimes I'm like, man, I'm not going to talk about like Sunny Day Real Estate with you, like you're not going to care, and I'm just going to sound
Yeah.
pretentious, and you're not going to look it up. So, but no, I would say like,
And if anybody ever said that to me, the first thing I would do is put on a Sunny Day song.
Yeah, I mean,
because they're the godfathers of emo to me. They're the godfathers, and there's no if and buts about it. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to
It came out my big thing with that is it came out 3.5 years after Nevermind.
Yeah, and and the whole trajectory, right, with like Dave Grohl and when they were breaking up, you know what I mean? Like it was I mean, yeah, I love that band. I don't know if they're, I mean, I guess my answer would be Mock Orange.
Okay.
They're definitely my favorite. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yes, I am.
They're kind of like, I don't want to say like a band's band, but like they're kind of like a certain like dog whistle, right? For like a certain kind of,
no,
like
absolutely. It's if somebody says the same thing goes right to Spring or Minor Threat, and I'm like, all right, yeah, cool, I get it. So you're
for me though, yeah, like that band. Their first record is like the record like I wish I had never heard, so I could like hear it again for the first time, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like I remember where I was when I heard it. I was just like, how the fuck haven't I heard this? I want to be in this band. And then just kind of dove in from there. But I think the reason they're my favorite is like they're still making great music that is just really different and mature, and they just seem to be still doing it regardless of because they're not like this big band that everyone's heard of, but they're just continuously putting out like what I think is really thoughtful rock music, and I hope to aspire to that. You know what I mean?
I think that's commendable too of band like that, and that's one of the things is you could say Mock Orange to 100 people and 99 of them don't know.
Yeah, but like, is that a flower?
Yeah, but they're still putting out music, and which is what I love about just people forging forward and like just not stopping. Some of my things that breaks my heart all the time is like there's so many bands of like staring at my wall right now here in the studio and looking and being like, look at those CDs, and it's like I have them in bands, and I'm like, yeah, that band was fucking awesome. They only made 2 records. That band was awesome. They only made 2 records. And it's like you see this like thing, and it's like, fuck.
Well, that's what was so special about the whole like American football thing. Like I know it's it's beaten to death, and people have but like for me that record still and truly is like such a touchstone. Like it's beautiful. I love it, and the fact that they got back together and released new music, it's just like the fucking coolest thing to me,
it's awesome. And that whole like first wave revival that, came through started about a couple of years ago. I mean, for me, it's huge because that's what I grew up on. Like that was my introduction, having the, one of my first, besides Sunny Day Real Estate, and then finding, Jimmy Eat World before, anybody else knew about him, and the Get Up Kids and Promise Ring and American Football and At the Drive-In and all these bands that I just fucking loved. And then, a lot of them got big, and it actually happened recently. I was in a record store and somebody came up to the counter, a young kid, and I'm going to say young kid because I'm in my 40s now, but he was probably in high school, asked the guy behind the counter if he had the new American Football. And he's like, and the guy's like, yeah, no, we don't have that. And the guy's like, hey, see that young kid asking for American Football? I go, that's fucking awesome is what that is.
Yeah.
Like,
I would agree.
Like that just means that band's never going to die, and they had a bigger influence than anybody ever knew. And I think that's what gets lost sometimes with some of these bands, like is when they do put out 2 albums and then they just stop because they never really knew what an influence they had on a community of people that listen to that music.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like if a band, I mean, but, also, I don't know, like with the internet now, I don't know how many people are like academically listening to music. You know what I mean? Like you have everything you could want between, Spotify and YouTube. And, if today's the day you're going to get into Scott Walker, you can like do that,
Yeah.
or
But
like,
it's also, it's good and it's bad. And that's where,
well, it's soul sucking, right? Because you're like, well, how do I do all, I saw a tweet today that was like, it's awesome. Like, I love it. It said like, I'm listening to Let It Be by the Replacements for the first time. Like, ask me anything, and it was someone that, you would be like, how have you not heard this?
Yeah. How, the Replacements too is one of those bands too, where I'm like, people like haven't heard of them. Like, how they had like 7 albums. How have you not fucking heard of them? They were so huge, but then you don't, then you don't realize how huge they weren't,
Yeah.
But they were huge to you.
They followed it up with like I had a friend that did this with music, and he like saved Black Sabbath for his 30s because he knew he'd love it, and he wanted to like. So I love that whole the like it was like a virginity thing. Like, I'm saving my 40s for.
So you had that moment with your father with Zeppelin, right?
Yeah.
So one of my dear friends, biggest Zeppelin fan of all time, like just like knows every lick, knows everything about them. And he's like, I don't understand how you don't like Zeppelin. I go, I never listened to him because I need to listen to it correctly. Mm-hmm. And I was like, listen, I've heard the songs that have been on the radio forever. I'm like, but I never did the full catalog of Zeppelin. So what I did was I had a long road trip ahead of me, and I played every single Zeppelin song from the first song to the last song. And I was like,
hell yeah.
I was like,
was it good or no?
I was like,
okay,
I was
cool.
like, yes. So they are fucking awesome. And like, I'm like, I knew who Zeppelin was, and I knew their songs, but I never really sat down and listened to it. And,
or even like going back, right? Like even like, I remember like, there's a time in like when I was a young teenager being like, oh, I love the Doors. Right. And then like, from like 15 to like 31, I was like, I don't want to listen to that at all, and then I don't know, then like Riders in the Storm comes on, and you're like, fuck, I guess I like this again. I don't know. It's all it's all relative, right?
Well, and it's all that maturity level too. And that's a one big thing with music is, and I brought it up several times, like the Bruce Springsteen. I grew up in Jersey, man. I should be the, that you come out of the womb, you're literally given two artists to listen to. It's Sinatra and Springsteen. And, I kind of was like, no, fuck Bruce. And now that I'm
natural,
now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, because he was at a different time in his life writing music for people who weren't me. And now that I am in that time for the music he was writing for people, I'm that age now. And now I can appreciate it.
Yeah. Right. No, I feel the same way about like the Chili Peppers, like they were another like,
I still don't get them. I don't.
Okay, so I mean, and that's cool,
like I understand why people like them, I do, but I also don't. I don't get it for myself. Like, like I get how you like it, but I never really understood it. Like I'm like, oh, all right, I don't. They're doing something different.
It's a lot of things, right? It's like you grow up like not able to escape it, and you're like, okay, this is good, and then you spend like a lot of years being like, I never want to hear this. And then, then John Frusciante puts out like a breakbeats album, and you're like, well, I know he's in the Chili Peppers again. So then you go back and listen, you know what I mean? So it's all like, you're getting, you're listening for different things, you're maturing and all that shit. But like, but no, I mean, I guess, like if going back to the whole, like, would it, the fact that I guess like, a young person can find American football for the first time and maybe have like a similar kind of, reaction to it or like connection to it, that maybe like gets the ball rolling or just becomes this like really special piece of art for them, it's just like a, I don't know. It's pretty emo, but it makes me, it's a cool notion to think about for sure. And just that they're still the fact that they might be able to like go see them, which is, like a whole nother level.
And that's one of my things too. Like I was very lucky that I lived right outside of New York City, like not that far away. And I had the opportunity to see all these bands and just be like, now that they're coming back around again, and me being mature and them being mature, and seeing the show in a different light. I remember the first time I saw it and I was like, this is fucking great. And now I remember when I'm older, seeing them do the same thing they were doing when, we were all the same age, and now I'm watching them do it just 100 times better and tighter than they ever were. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I loved that the first, I guess, second American football record so much, because of that. I didn't see them, but I was like, wow, it's everything I thought it would. You're just like, I never thought that this band would put out new material. I thought I'd have the same, whatever, 8 songs with no bass forever, and that was perfect, and that's all.
Yeah, and that was okay with you. If
you go talk about the bands that have those 1 or 2 just great records, you're like, that's totally fine. Not everyone needs to, but it's special. And so going the whole Mock Orange thing too is, they had those records that, that I think Del Paxton is still trying to actively rip off. And then they had an alt country album, and a more singer-songwriter acoustic album, and then some more kind of Wolf Parade indie shit going on. So, it's cool to see that they're people, that have different tastes, and things happen in their lives, but they're still making music, and I'm just along for the ride, so to speak. I'm pretty sure, or pretty certain rather, that whatever they do, I'm probably going to be into.
Nice.
Yeah.
Back to Del Paxton. If we'll call this the universe. If someone's on a space shuttle or the International Space Station and has never heard a Del Paxton song and came to Earth and said, somebody told me I need to listen to them, what song would you give to them that best describes you?
Oh man. I guess, well, I'll go with the one, I guess first, but I guess I would say Motion Sick. It's the last track on our first EP.
Mm-hmm.
And we always play it last in a set. So going back to the whole set thing,
yeah,
I guess that's the one rule that we have in our set. We always close with Motion Sick.
Okay.
And I think, I don't think I've ever asked them this, but I think it's because it's really fun to play and it's a good closer, and it just has a lot of kind of encapsulates I think what we like to do in a band together. It's got a riffy part and a catchy part, and then kind of a build up and a really cool drum part. Greg's the best drummer ever, and his drum parts are really cool, especially in that one. At the end, he's just playing all these fucking crazy ghost notes, and Zach and I do this cool kind of harmonized thing. It's just it always just feels really fun to play, and it always feels appropriate to end on. It might feel I guess a little played out now, but we haven't played a show in a really long time.
So it'll be it'll be new again, which is
but I think it's a good. Yeah, I still think if it feels weird not to say maybe one of the new ones, but
no, it's
I feel that's my answer. I would say that, or Bedtime. I really really Bedtime. I think that we were all talking. We were that might be probably our favorite.
I was just going to ask you now, is that what's your favorite song that you've ever released?
Oh man.
Or you may not have even released it yet, but you have it already worked out. What's
you're just going to have to wait and see.
The teaser. Tune in next week.
So, this brings us to it. No, I have nothing to tease. We have a lot of new songs, but I think Bedtime was just a really, that was one where, Zach writing vocals too. I think he's brilliant. And, I remember he was changing the structure of the song to really, we're kind of just thinking a little bit more critically rather than just being this is good. Yo, you got lyrics? Okay, good. Go record. It was more well, what if this was a little bit more deliberately slow and patient, and like, what if it wasn't in 7? What if it like went between 8 and 7? Like, does it have to be this like off time thing, just for the sake of, not being in 4/4 time because we think we're clever, so it's I mean, I still love that, but I also think just like coupled with like I think he's a really great lyricist, and I don't know. For me, it's like, it's probably the one that I've listened to the most. I just really like the song. We shot a really cool video for it too. Like, Greg does a lot of really great video work. And he had this idea for like a 1-shot video, where we'd like build a fire and then like this drone would like zoom out really far. So I just have like a really good memory around that, but I still think it's probably my favorite so far that we've released, but that's tough to say. I'll probably like end this and be like, oh shoot.
That's all right. You can just send me. I'll put it in a little blurb. He actually meant this.
Yeah, very important. Yeah, if I change my mind, you can just edit that, right? No, but yeah, those two probably I would say are definitely easy favorites, I guess, for me.
Awesome. So we're gonna get a little morbid, and then I'll bring it back to cheery. But
oh yeah, let's go.
World's gonna end in 5 minutes. You can only listen to one song. What would it be?
Oh shit. One song.
Yeah, you only have time to listen to one more song before.
But I have 5 minutes or one song.
You had 5 minutes. I mean, my 5 minutes will be spent scrolling through my music to find the song.
Yeah, right. Oh man. That's a really tough, like, on the spot. I mean, do I know the world's ending?
Fucking hard-hitting questions here, man. You're on the wrong show if you weren't ready for them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We were talking about like a dumb emo band, and then you went to. So, like, do I know the world's ending? You know the world's ending. Like, you got 5 minutes, and so I got to make it count.
Yeah, you got to. Listen, it doesn't have to be the most amazing thing. It's first thing that comes to your mind.
Oh man, you're gonna make me. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go with. Oh man, I'm gonna sound like a total loser here, but I'm gonna go with "Blue Sky" by the Allman Brothers.
All right. Hey, listen. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really happy sounding song, and if I don't know, it just reminds me of like it's a song that will like actively make me feel, which is like. I think kind of lame. Like I don't think like usually works for me. It's not lame for you. I mean, obviously.
Listen, and music is something for everyone, and that's my big thing is you take ownership of what it means to you.
Yeah, no, it's just like it's mostly a guitar solo. There's not a lot of makes me feel good. So I guess if you're putting me on the spot, I'm going to say that. And I really like the Allman Brothers. So full I know I should say something cooler, but
no, you don't have to say anything cooler. Cause you know what? I'll go to the question that was going to bring it back to fun before I go to
okay, cool.
So, I mean, you mentioned Allman Brothers. Do you have a guilty pleasure, like something that you listen to that nobody would know that like you're totally into? And if they caught you, you would be like, oh shit. And no fucking, post-hardcore answer where it's like, no, dude, I own up to everything. That's great. So do I. But there's still that little fucking second when somebody catches you listening to Britney Spears that you're like, oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. No, I mean, I definitely had that moment, 4th of July, you have a couple adult beverages and start blowing stuff up and you just want to hear that one Paramore song or whatever. But like, I mean, as far as like guilty pleasure, I feel like, I don't know if this is like a secret, but I really like I guess it's called like alt country, cause you say country and you think like a certain,
well, it's a different word now. It means something completely different than
but I mean like ago. the Sun Volt, like Wilco, early like Ryan Adams type stuff. Mm-hmm. I really like, but I mean, that's so much like just rock too that,
I think it's more rock because I mean, I would even say, we're
so I don't think it wouldn't be like surprising. Right. I do really love, this is going to sound like incredibly lame, but like a lot of I really like the record label Windham Hill. They're kind of like a 80s like new age label.
Okay.
Um, all of this stuff is like really cheap to like, you can still find the records too. And they're just all these crazy like heady guitar players that were like almost, you know, like you can hear a lot of like American football in it, like alternate tuned, um, really, really cool stylistic like solo guitarist records. William Ackerman, Alex DeGrassi, Chris Hedges, Michael Hedges. Those are definitely, like if my wife comes home and she's like, "Are you like meditating right now? Like, what's going on?" You know what I mean? Like, it's not. It's a little more, I guess, surprising, but it's not a guilty. It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
I guess like guilty. I don't know. I guess I don't know. There's nothing I would be like ashamed, to listen to or, but I guess that's a little less, it's not like, I'm also like in my 30s now. So I'm getting really into jazz,
Good. Good.
Yeah. Right. I mean, there's that old meme that's like, you're 30 and it says like house or jazz, like in the fork in the road. And I've definitely gone to the jazz side of things.
That's
and
awesome.
And just gotten my toes wet, like really just taking recommendations from like, people I trust, and they'll be like, "Oh, you might like this, you might like this player, or like this era." So it's obviously like, I'll probably spend the rest of my life, learning about it and figuring it out. Yeah.
There's so much of it. I always tell people I was very lucky with music in my life. I had my, grandparents who, grew up in the Depression, and, jazz is their thing. And they would listen to jazz every night at dinner when I'd stay over there in the summer, and like they would dance in the living room while, and like having that kind of stuff in my life. Like I looking back at it, like, I was fucking blessed to have like just all different types of music around my whole life. My brother was 10 years older than me. My sister was 4.5 years older than me. Then my parents and my grandparents. So I always had this new, thing of music that was, I had all these different genres and sounds around that was just, I think, sculpted me and me finding my own way to other stuff. And I just think it was so cool.
Yeah, no, what a great, like, what a great memory to have. Like, I mean, so that's the thing. Like, if you go back to like the musical memory thing, like if my grandparents played jazz every night and we're dancing, I'd definitely say that, and it's not that like we didn't listen to music, it's, music just, was there.
It hits everybody differently, right? And that's how like my musical memory, I remember the car we were in. I remember where we were on the road. I was 7 years old, and I remember everything about that first experience with music that wasn't Sesame Street to me.
Right.
And like fucking blew me away.
That's incredible. Yeah. Greg, the drummer in Del Paxton, his father was really into like jazz and fusion, so he was, getting into like, punk, like we all did, right? Like we're like, oh, I want to listen to, whatever, whatever Drive Through Records is putting out, or, or like, I want to listen to this. And then you hear like Chick Corea or like Weather Report, and he was like, oh, like this has just influenced my playing so much, and it would never be something I would reach for at like 14. But then, later, he's like, oh yeah, this is like all the stuff my dad was playing, or, what I kind of grew up kind of absorbing, whether I wanted to or not.
I love how you bring up the record label aspect, because I mean, that's how I shopped for music, man. Like I had my record labels that if it was on that record label, I'm buying it. And
for sure.
It was back in the day when there was no, I'm going to sound like the old fogey. Back in my day, there was no internet to shop around for stuff, and there wasn't. But it was like, listen, if it was on, I had those, in high school, like Dutch East Recordings, which was Dinosaur Jr.'s first album. And then, then I'm going to, all right, whatever's on Cruise Records, and then whatever's on Fat Records, whatever's on Jade Tree or Deep Elm or Crank or like, and it was only based on record labels.
Yep. Yeah. There was a time too where, I mean, cause I'm not that young. I mean, I'm 33. you know, but I grew up kind of, you know, with the internet and without it. And then when I was a teenager, like I got it, you know, so I think I was still, you know, not using the internet to like find bands actively, you know, it was more of like still kind of just like going to shows and talking, you know, to friends. And I'm sure probably MySpace, right? Like had something to do with it. But it was definitely the label thing. I remember like thinking like, you know, like when flyers were made and like they'd list a band and they'd put like Victory Records underneath, you know what I mean? Like that to me signaled that like, oh, I should go see this band, you know,
I'm probably going to like them.
And it's like, oh, I guess I'm going to see Bury Your Dead, you know, but like, you know, maybe, and like, maybe it'll be something I won't like, but I remember how much like kind of like clout that carried even back in the day. Like if we use like a social media sort of thing, you know, like just being like Equal Vision Records and you're like, oh, I guess I'm going, you know what I mean? Like rather than just like, oh, there's like a signed band. I don't remember. Is that sound weird?
No, because there was one. I mean, you know, one of the big labels in punk when I grew up was Lookout, and that, you know, because that's where Green Day came from. But and it was like, you know, Lookout's new band, you know, is playing this weekend, and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to fucking see them. That's for sure. Like, and you never heard anything from them. You're like,
but also, you hear, you know, Green Day, but then you might get into like Crimpshrine or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a total, it's like how you navigate the rabbit hole, right?
Yeah. And
or
then,
like, or even form your tastes around, right?
Well,
like,
I mean, and then you can find something you never knew you would have taste for. Like if somebody played it for you, like there was a band back in the day called 15. That
I can see like the font.
Yeah. And
it's like a bubble letter kind of like, okay.
Dwayne's, first bike ride and like, but there was a band that if someone handed me like a CD or a 7-inch at the time, I probably would have never been like, yeah, I want to listen to them. I saw them play live first and it was kind of like on a flyer. It was like, hey, Lookout Records presents 15. Right. And so I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going. And I saw them and they were awesome. And I listened to their stuff, but I can actually listen and I still love them to this day. Like I'm like, I'll put it on when I'm like, you know what, I haven't listened to this in a long time and I need it. But I can hear with my other ear that, if I didn't see them first, I probably never would have liked it. Like you know,
even with the label thing,
with the label, because they were so different. They weren't along the lines of Screeching Weasel and Green Day and all those other bands that was Lookout, that it was just so different, and the guy's voice was different, but it also led me to other stuff. To, you know, his voice reminded me of going and finding Hot Water Music after that, because you had the No Idea label out of Florida that was just putting out Florida bands, and Hot Water Music came along, and I was like, I'm totally like, wow, I guess I like this kind of stuff, and the raspy voice, and I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. As like, maybe it didn't like click at first, but you know, it just might influence like another choice, right? Like down the road, to be like, oh yeah, this reminds me of 15. Maybe I'll go like take another look at that, and you're like, oh shit, I love this, right?
Yeah.
You know,
and that's what you talked about, remembering, like trying to remember that first time you listened to the Mock Orange CD. And you know, one of my favorite things is, since I have such a gigantic collection of music, is like just thumbing through all my vinyl or 7-inches or tapes or CDs, and just being like, wow, I haven't heard this in like forever. And putting it on and almost like getting it for the first time again. It's just like that.
Yeah. You've got to ration that shit, man.
Yeah.
Like you can't like go, like I'm down to like you know, a very careful listen, you know, a couple times a year, right? You know, like you don't want it to like, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't actually do that, but there's like sometimes.
I'm sitting here right now, and in front of me, I look on the wall, and I'm like, Armchair Martian. I'm like, I've been fucking listening to that for forever. So when I'm done with this, I'm definitely putting that on.
Right.
You know,
and for sure.
It's like remembering shit like that.
Yeah, like the memory thing and the nostalgia thing's good. I think like, you know, the good thing too, like I'm a recent Spotify-er. Like I recently got it like during the pandemic.
I only got it because I had to put the show out on Spotify first, because it's the only place that took me. So
I wasn't like anti. I mean, there's enough, of course
there's so many different places.
Yeah. But in the end, I was like, wow, like I guess like what I was talking about before, like, I guess today's the day I'm going to check out what this like sleep band is all about.
Yeah.
Right. Like, do I, is today the day I get into, like, I can do that now. So it's a little, it's fun for me because I still like listening to new music, and if I want to check out a cool, 80s new age record, I can do that now, and it's not like I have to go to the store,
it's not an
pretty
investment.
Yeah. And I'm like, yep, cool. Don't like this. Or like, whoa, this is crazy. How'd I miss this sort of thing? So, it's good to reminisce, but it's also good to, to still seek it out. Like, there's so much, music, that even from like the 60s that that like is still untouched, or like if you go like just like previous decades, right? Like, or your notions of like what you thought 80s music was, and then you're like, whoa, there's this whole other thing happening in Japan, right? That I didn't even know about, and now thanks to the internet, I can dive in. So
it's opened my eyes to a lot of stuff too, and I love how you said bands back in the 60s and 70s. Like, I found bands through just putting in something from, like, I love the band Slade,
sure,
and they're an awesome 70s fucking just awesome British rock band, and it put me onto this other band called Patton that I'd never heard of, had no idea who it was. People I talked to had no idea who they ever were, and I listened to the record and I'm like, this is fucking amazing. Like, holy shit, how has nobody ever heard of this band? And then it opens my eyes to go do research on them and find out, and I'm like, oh man, that's what I just love. That I love that discovery.
And you seem to be one of the few that's like actively like still seeking out music. Like, I've been really blessed with like a lot of friends that like still kind of have their finger on the pulse, and like will always just send me cool shit, whether it's like, oh, here's a band that's like an alt country duster from like 2003, and I'm just like, oh my god, I need this like right now. Like, I need to call off of work and listen to this.
I do it to my friends all the time, bro. I'm like, I find something and I'm like, I know no one's ever heard of this, and my friends do the same thing to me. They're like, check this band out, and that's what we do, and it's also one of those things where some people, that's how you just communicate.
It is, and it's a slippery slope, because like, if you get into like just like, I've been really trying to like, the whole notion of like, record collecting or finding new music is so exciting, but it also,
it's a fucking rabbit hole.
Well, and it takes you away from like, you're like, okay, cool. I guess I'm gonna give this free jazz record a chance, because someone told me I should, and it's only $12, and maybe I'll like it. You know what I mean? Like, you're not even really like actively listening. You're just like kind of a nerd, and I don't want to get like, I'm trying to just be, I guess, like a little more selective, especially about with like, because if you talk about like an investment, not just like, financially, but like just,
time is an investment,
taking
too.
something and picking something up and that's tangible and like putting it in your home. That's one thing, but also, it's time, right? You're like, oh, cool. Like, why'd I listen to that thing that I'm pretty sure I don't like? Am I still trying to convince myself I like this? Or like, can I just say that I don't like this and move on? Like, I guess in a way I would have done like when I was 15, and like, fuck this, So I mean, you're right. It's the slipperiest of slopes,
slippery
right?
slopes. I'm gonna bring it back to the last morbid question that I
there's another.
Well, because you had brought up something, so we veered, man. We veered. It's totally cool.
Let's veer.
But so one of my last morbid questions will be a funeral song for yourself. Have you ever thought of your own mortality and what?
I feel like this question is like a thing, right? Like, I mean, it's a
thing now because I'm asking it.
No, I mean, I've definitely heard it, or someone has said, like, what do you play at your funeral, right? I don't know. I mean,
I have two. Like,
I would say the entire Del Paxton catalog.
There it is.
No. A joke, nervous. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if like I'd be comfortable like choosing something for like, the people that were there to like associate, you know, like
I told
like,
my wife when.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, here, no, you're playing. This is what you're playing.
Okay.
And like that's
can I know yours, or is that like a personal thing?
No,
Am I allowed to ask?
Yeah, there's two of them, and they'll be played back to back. The first one is Welcome Ghost by Explosions in the Sky.
Okay.
That's to get everyone in their seats. And then once everyone's seated, Willie Nelson, The Scientist, the Coldplay cover that he does.
Oh wow. Okay.
If you haven't heard Willie Nelson cover that song, The Scientist by Coldplay,
don't say no more.
Go listen to it when when we're done. But those are my two songs that listen. That's my funeral. You play those two songs, and then you go outside and you fucking enjoy the barbecue and play all of my fucking music from my catalog that I'll have.
I like the like the very like beautiful atmospheric. I mean, my wife walked down the aisle to Explosions in the Sky. We saw Explosions in the Sky. Like they're great. Yeah, and that's like a really nice like personal.
Yeah,
they're
amazing.
But I like the balance, right?
Yeah.
Like here's this like really textural like beautiful soundscape, and then here's like Willie Nelson doing a Coldplay cover.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess like I don't know. I feel like I should give like a cool answer, but listen, I really and I guess if we're being morbid, like I've been really into Jason Molina and like Songs of Haya.
Okay.
Are you familiar?
Yeah.
With yeah. And I mean, his whole story is really beautiful and ultimately like really sad and tragic. And that song, Farewell Transmission, always struck me as a good kind of like
great song.
Kind of like, wow, kind of, I don't know if I'd go on record and say, but like that was one where like I felt like, wow, shit's kind of bleak right now, but also what a great song.
Yeah.
And like ending on just that, listen, when he like said, and then it's just a drum beat is a pretty cool ending.
All right.
But nice. I don't know. Maybe I'll go. I have to do a cool, and I said the Allman Brothers before. So not that I don't think they're really cool, but
no,
I don't know. I'm just trying to think about what I've been listening to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
I would. Yeah, I don't know.
That's fine.
I haven't thought about that, and I haven't given my wife any instructions.
Yeah, no, I literally did at the Explosions in the Sky show.
Yeah, you're like, yo, play the shit when I'm
like, this is the song that I told you that I want when I die. Man. This is the song. But
okay, well, yeah, there's still time, right?
Yeah, there's listen, there's tons of time. It could change.
Let's hope.
But for now, I've
shit. If I die tomorrow, you gotta play that shit, dude. You gotta play. Oh man.
All right. So listen, I don't want to keep you a lot longer. So we're going to come in here on our time and we're going to end it like we always do. We're going to end it with our weekly threes. It's 3 things you're listening to right now that you would like someone to check out, and you don't have to try to be all cool. It could be something old. It could be something new. It could be another podcast. Or an audiobook, it's totally fine, but something you're listening to right now that you want people to get into.
Okay. Well, I just talked about him, but Jason Molina and Songs of Haya. Feel like, if you probably already like, yeah, dude, we know it's great, but definitely like, rock in the country vein. Just good guitar rock, I don't know. He's got so many albums, so I would just maybe just kind of dive in, I don't have any recommendations, but I've been really liking that. As far as podcasts,
well, it doesn't have to be a podcast, but just even music. I mean, I go music all the
time.
Yeah.
Music. So. I really, I've been listening to the Beach Boys a lot.
That's fucking dope. That's my first musical memory.
Oh, okay, cool. So like I really liked I love that song Good Vibrations. And I guess I never like thought about like I was like, what record is that on? Do you know? I mean, you probably know, but like I didn't know. And then I got I was like, oh, Smiley Smile. Like, what is this? This cover looks awesome. There's all these like cool trippy animals on it. And it is a wild record, man. I mean, I don't know. It's like it's one of those things. You're like, how have you never heard this? I guess, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not like Surf and Safari sort of thing. Like there's that song Vegetables and like Heroes and Villains. I don't know. It's just, it's really cool, you know, and I guess that's like what's cool about getting old. Cause you can say that, you know, and you're like, yeah, I don't know. The Beach Boys kind of fucking rock.
Yeah, they're fucking
know?
awesome. I don't care. I tell people all the time, like that's my first musical memory, and it was my first favorite band.
Yeah.
Like as a kid, that was the first tape I made my mom rush out and get when I was a little kid because I heard that song in the car, and I was like, I fucking love this.
Wait, you heard Good Vibrations?
No, I heard. I heard the Beach Boys, and the song.
Yes,
the song was Little Surfer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I heard that song as a kid.
Because I'd be, damn, did you get Smiley Smile when you were like?
No, I still have the tape too. My very first tape, the orange. It was the greatest hits of the Beach Boys, and it was had an orange tape covering on it, and then that's
awesome that you still have it. So let's see, Songs of Haya, Beach Boys. You know, I really love. Okay, so. I guess my last one would be this band Girlpool, but only their latest record, All Things Imaginary. I think I'm butchering that, and I hate doing that when I'm talking about something.
That's fine. I'll find out exactly what it is to post it. So
there's a song on there called Swamp and Bay, which I think is just like a really good song. You know, it's just like, I don't know, one of those ones where you can tell they're just like songwriters, for sure, you know, like they're not bucking any trend or anything like that. It's just so solid, and I've listened to it a lot. I've listened to the record a few times, and that one is still the one that's like kind of doing it for me. But Swamp and Bay by Girlpool. That's
awesome.
Yeah,
that's great 3, man.
Top of the dome. That was yeah.
Nice. I'll give my 3 for this week.
Yeah, please.
My 3 for this week. My first one is Nervous Dater, Brooklyn-based indie rock band. Female singer, just crushes. The album's called "Call in the Mess." It's just cool shit to listen to if you're looking for something new.
Okay.
My number 2 is Seer Believer, SEER Believer. Album's called Bent. It's a guy from Colorado. It's indie rock singer songwriter kid, Nick Mansky, and it's his own little thing that he does. But the name of it is Seer Believer, and the album's called Bent. Really cool to get into. It's emo-ish singer-songwriter, I guess, along the likes of Owen, with some, maybe some explosion in the sky in the background. It's really good. I suggest it.
Yeah, that sounds up my alley.
And then my third one is Mobina Galore. They're Canadian punk duo. The album's called Don't Worry. They are just straight up old school female killers. It's two girls, drummer, guitarist, and guitarist sings, and so does the drummer. But it's straight up, you want like old school, awesome punk rock that you can listen to. They're fucking great. So Mobina Galore, that's Mobina.
Wow. I've never heard of that. So thank you.
so those are my 3. So Dylan, why don't you tell all the listeners, how to find what Del Paxton is doing, if you got anything new coming up to be on the lookout for at all times, and just how to find your stuff all throughout the fucking landscape of the big cloud that's out there.
Yeah, for sure. You can go to, your preferred web browser and type in Del Paxton Buffalo, and I think all of the like kind of appropriate links will pop up, like Instagram, Twitter, and Top Shelf. Big shout out there too. I didn't really talk much about them, but they've been like just dream people to have behind your music.
Yeah,
so.
Listen, they're doing great things. I had another Top Shelf artist on, and I mean, they find talent very well.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's just, they're great. But I guess what I'm trying to say, because I'm stumbling over my words, is their new website is really fun too. And if we talk about like music discovery, like we kind of rambled on for a couple minutes there, their website is really it kind of harkens back to that. All, you know,
it's
like,
fun.
Oh
yeah,
it's fun, right?
It's a fun website.
Actually, you know, a user experience that's not just like, oh yeah, check this out.
Yeah,
as this,
click
like,
the drop down, go to the next. Go to the next page. No, they thought about it and they made.
It's really
their
visually, it's very visually stunning too.
It's pleasing.
Shout out Kevin. I know he did all of that, or well, you know, maybe not all. I don't know that for sure, but I know that it was a big kind of passion project and something he labored over for a while, and I think it just paid off like incredibly. So I would say maybe start there, like, you know, type in Del Paxton and buy all of our stuff, and, you know, no, I don't know. I have nothing to like really.
Well, the good thing
tease,
is a lot of your stuff is sold out. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So if people go to find it, it's fucking hard to get. Go on Discogs, boys, and pay premium.
Right. And pay premium. No, I mean, nothing really to tease really. I mean, we're writing, we have a lot of stuff, you know, so it's just kind of that in between, you know, we're kind of thinking about playing a show and when we'll feel, you know, when it will feel appropriate and safe. And I think we're ready and we really want to, but nothing really to kind of tease, you know. I wish we had something, you know. There's some stuff on the horizon, but I don't think I can like tease that. So maybe in itself, that'll be a tease.
Okay. So
we're not breaking up, right?
We're just going to put out the BOL right now. Be on the lookout for stuff.
Yeah, for sure. There's cool stuff. Really cool stuff. You're definitely not going to want to miss.
Awesome.
I'm just being goofy, but that's
awesome.
That's all I've got. But yeah, we're on all the you know, all the usual kind of suspects, you know, social media wise, and corners of the internet, what have you. So
well, I want to say thank you so much for stopping by here today, Dylan, and you know, it's a pleasure to have you. We appreciate what you do. We love the band, and
it's my pleasure. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yes, thank you. So it was really, thank you very much for like taking, you know, a couple hours, right?
Yeah, like, listen, this is what we do. This is we're talking, man, and it's great.
Really fun.
We learn a lot from each other, and it feels like we were knew each other for a while. So it's awesome. But
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So everyone out there, you know what to do now. Go listen to Del Paxton and have a great fucking time. Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band. And don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.